Boom. All right. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow anti-netters. We've got Lane here, and we're doing another Lane and Scott talk, anti-net and intellectual work and production. And, hopefully we'll even get into some of the conquests of Putin using Obsidian to concoct his whole Ukrainian takeover scheme.
Here we go again. It started good.
Started good. And then 15 seconds into it, we're already diverting into Ukraine. If you guys don't know what we're talking about on the last episode that Lane and I did, about halfway through, we get into we were on a roll of discussing why Obsidian sucks and the beneficial features of analog thinking systems. And then I don't know how we came across upon it, but we're gonna state it that it's absolutely true, and that is that Vladimir Putin uses Obsidian, and he used it to procure his plans for the Ukraine invasion.
Everything you blame on Obsidian. Climate.
Yeah. Climate is all Obsidian. So we're turning this into a meme. My fellow anti-netters and analogers, we're gonna anytime anyone asks why use analog over Obsidian, just say that, well, Putin uses Obsidian. That's one main reason. All right. Well, Lane, why don't you kick things off into kind of what we decided to talk about and make the topic for this week's episode.
Yeah, I wanted to, I had brought up the idea. I wanted to hear your viewpoints on, publishing work, putting out product, whether that's creative or, art or intellectual product, writing books, art, whatever, music. Why, how to build confidence in that. A lot of the anti-net stuff has given me that to kind of slow my thought process down and feel like I'm actually writing very thoughtful, deep, insightful, notes in my own ideas. But I wanted to hear from you because you're actually putting out a product. I'm not there yet. I'm still in discovery phase. And I felt like a lot of the things that I'd read in the chat or the comment sections of a lot of your videos where I identified as confidence issues, even just from like instilling the anti-net, installing the anti-net. I mean, a lot of confidence. And I think, I think other people might be interested in how to build confidence in putting out your product, and also, just discovery of your insights, your intellectual pursuits, artistic pursuits for others, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'll say two things on this. The first one is, and this started, I think 400 and something days ago. I have to go look at my planner to see, because I keep track of it every single day. I have a daily publishing practice where I publish. Let me disconnect my Bluetooth here. 1 second, so that my speakers don't take over. All right, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
By the way, all right, cool. Anyways, like about 450, like 9 days ago or something, I've lost count. I started this daily practice, and the daily practice, there's really 4 areas. I break apart my life into 4 different areas. There's the soul, which I know is kind of woo woo, but soul, heart, mind, and body. And so that's like the 4. It's like physical, spiritual, emotional, and then intellectual, right? And so I do something, and I keep track of the streak. I do something in those categories every single day. Meaning, like, for the body, it's like I work out or exercise even 10 minutes a day, gets me continuing on my streak. Well, on the mind side, on that side of the streak, I have a publishing practice where every single day I publish one piece of content. Now, this started, I don't know, over a year ago. And it started in the form of uh, producing a daily podcast. And I tried that for a while, and a lot of the people have come across that. And it was like the daily Scott Scheper. And then I transitioned. And I'm like, okay, well, this is okay, but it's not really that valuable, I think, for people to hear a daily podcast of me just meandering on stuff, because a lot of the stuff was infotainment and I would just riff on a bunch of stuff. But I made a
Sounds like on
decision.
our next podcast idea.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I made a decision because, for about like a year before that, I would just, smoke cigars and read books out on my patio and um, come up with these, all of these ideas, but nothing actually ever turned to fruition. And the reason is because I never published it, because I wanted to wait to make it perfect before I published it. And I was inspired by one of my marketing mentors, inspire me to just start and produce a piece of content every single day. So I started with a podcast, and then I went to the daily Scott Scheper website, and I created a blog post every single day. And now I've moved on to like I post something on Twitter, like a thought or a quote or something, and I even if it's just like I don't count a retweet as it. Like I try to put together a thought or a quote or something just to put it out there, so that every single day I'm just at least breaking the ice of, putting some piece of information out there. And yeah, it might get torn to shreds. It might be, a quote where people are like, oh yeah, that's dumb, or that's, stupid. But I put myself out there vulnerable every single day. And I even find that like even just a tweet serves as fulfilling that daily practice. So that's one thing where I feel like I've really gotten the confidence to start producing stuff and putting myself out there. And I think it also, so that's the first piece. The second
Let
piece.
me let me stop you there and kind of go back to what you were talking about, because that's what I'm really interested in. So you started doing a daily podcast or a podcast, and
Yep.
then you talked to your mentor and it was like, okay, put out something content wise every day. So when you were doing the podcast specifically, this is my first question. What how did you approach that? Like, how did you get over that fear or that feeling of like, I don't have anything to say? Did you outline, or did you just go into it? What was your process in getting started to move in that direction?
Yeah. So I, hmm, I, the process was for the first like set of episodes. I think I was just, I can't really recall if I had a outline it. And what I realized was, I did some shows with like an outline, but it made the process way harder. Like I didn't care. My goal, it was part of the process. I was divorced from the outcome. You see, I didn't
Mhm.
give a crap, and they sucked. Like, they're I mean they're decent, but they're just like you could see myself growing throughout the process. So I didn't care at all, really, necessarily. And then about the actual outcome. And that's one of the great paradoxes. It's called what Derek Sivers calls the 50 pots parable,
Mhm.
where, he had two people, get in a classroom of making clay pots for a week. And he told the first person, or the first group, to make 50 pots a day, you know, and then he
Mhm.
told the second one that they have, a week to create the best and most perfect pot, that they could, that imaginable. And at the end of the week, they looked at the first group and the second group, and they compared it. And by far, hands down, the one that actually ended up with the highest quality pots was the one that was focused on the quantity, producing 50 a day,
Yeah.
not the one that was focused on the quality. So I approached it with that mindset of like, I don't care, it's just gonna suck. My goal was to get 100, just do it for 100 days straight, right?
Okay.
And so that was the only goal. And that's essentially how I approached it. And it was not my main endeavor. It was just a way for me to start the day by by knocking it off the checklist of producing something, producing absolute shit. Just knock it
And
off the
putting it out
checklist,
there.
produce shit, and then move on to actually what your main task is. And that's what I still do today. Like I'll put out a tweet, I'll put out, something that's sometimes valuable. A lot of the times I only get like one like or one heart, on like the tweets, and it's shit. Or I'll get people that even go, I put out one like a month or two ago that was kind of about grinding and working hard. And, a reply I got was like, oh, great, Scott, you've like shifted into the hustle culture, screw this, I'm out, and I'm like, oh, okay,
shit.
whatever. I don't care. Like I literally don't get this part of my daily practice, and that's good
Love
feedback.
you. Bye.
Yeah. It's good feedback. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
great. I see that like as I'm walking to the office, and my main endeavor for the day is to write and produce this book. And
So really, this was a big transition from you, from moving from just research reading, out on the patio smoking your cigars. You're like, okay, I need to start, now I'm ready, or I need to start producing content. But to jump from that to, which is probably where I'm at, is trying to jump from discovery. I'm ready to start putting my work out there, but I just, that is perfectionism's kicking in. So that's the reason I'm really interested in how you transitioned to that. And so the first thing was the podcast, kind of no outcome. I'm just going to do it for our next 100 days. And then you started tweeting. And then are you putting out, I see your tweets and stuff, although I don't really do Twitter, although I'm starting to kind of get back in there. Do you actually publish long form, or more medium long form content daily, or is that just more on a weekly?
Yeah. I mean, like publishing that, I lately I have published like long form and samples of my chapters. I don't know if you got that email. I sent that email on last week. So anyone that isn't on my email list, I'll plug that, is go to scottscheper.com and sign up at the bottom for my email list. So I haven't shared that chapter publicly anywhere else.
Is it Scott P. Scheper or scottscheper.com?
scottscheper.com. Yeah, you like that I have that Scott P. Scheper, just to make sure I'm distinct from all the other Scott Shepers in this
you
world.
So you put the third behind it.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. So I have been doing and sharing the long form, not out of necessity or a requirement, but more out of because I want to, and I want, like, if there's something that I really think is valuable that could help people, like I'll share that. Often in the Reddit community, in the anti-net Reddit community, there will be questions, and someone will be struggling with something, and I'll be like, oh man, like I literally just wrote a whole section on that, or the chapter on that, like yesterday, or even today, or like last week. And I'm like, you know what, instead of me trying to, like, I'm just gonna grab that snippet from the book, put it in a PDF, and share it on using Google Drive. And I'll do that via the anti-net forums, and I'll just reply, and then the lucky ones that hang out in the anti-net forum that come across it and see it are then given snippets of the long form piece of my content. And developing it this way is unique, because I was initially tempted with the idea of publishing each chapter as I finished it online, to get that kind of that dopamine hit of feedback and publishing something. But I decided not to do that this time. And I think I've mentioned to you, I wrote a book when I was 24, 25 called How to Get Focused. And it was all about, focusing, and, talked about my journey with ADHD and stuff like that. And when I wrote that book, I actually wrote it and published each chapter by chapter on a blog, like using WordPress. I learned from that experience. It was good. It kind of helped motivate me, but I chose not to do that this time, because when you're writing something like in the form of a blog and then you're repurposing it for a book, the reader of the book can kind of tell that, oh, you've kind of repurposed it, for a book.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have to repurpose the stuff for a book. Like in my book that I'm writing right now, I'll say, previously I talked about this in this chapter, as we discussed previously or a few chapters ago. I like to have that so that they know I'm in the book and writing it for them in the actual book. So
Okay.
anyway.
So once this book is finished and you go back into the discovery phase, I mean, obviously you have a big anti-net and you're able to you probably have a lot of subject matter that you're already gearing up for, ready for. So how do you think you're going to approach that? Are you going to approach it again with another book, or do you think you're going, like, for instance, what's the next topic subject that you're interested in exploring, maybe?
Yeah, that's to be determined. I have thought about that recently, because there are a pile of books under my desk that I haven't been able to get to for this book. And a lot of that stuff is just nice. It's not crucial, but it's kind of cool. Like I've got Anne Blair's, Too Much to Know, and it's a lot of the historical academic literature on how old scholars, of the Renaissance and early periods managed their knowledge. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that would be cool to beef up the sections that I have talking about the history and stuff. But it's just, if I didn't cut myself off, it would be 10 years before I published this book,
Yeah, and literally 5 volumes.
Yes.
At the rate you're going.
Yeah. And so so for this, I plan to, I was thinking last night, like jokingly, of calling it like the 0th edition, so that in the future I could make, and then just never calling it the first edition, just call like the new and revised, no, like the revised 0th edition, and then the new and revised 0th edition, and then the revised 0 edition. So I don't know. I kind of imagine like maybe I'll do another edition later on. But if I don't know, like I think I think I might go and create like another. So after this, I want to first get out everything that I know about this process and this journey out of my head into this book. And it's going to be, there's a lot in there. A lot is packed in there. It's going to be kind of like the Bible of the Zettelkasten, the anti-net. And then I would like to, I think go the route of creating like a really simple step-by-step, get everyone up and running, integrated course, and creating a course. And I was also thinking maybe eventually if I could create like a very simple volume called Note-Taking Secrets or Zettelkasten Secrets. And, but who knows if I'll ever get there or even get to the course. I think I would like to get to the course just because I think, not everyone wants to read a, 600, 700 page on note taking.
It's like me going through Jordan Peterson right now. I'm pretty much done at this point.
Yeah.
I'm ready to switch gears here.
Yeah. Just put your bib card in there and like, Yeah.
I pretty much, just as a side note, I'm just going through the index to select the things because it's so dense and so deep in so many other areas that I just don't care about right now.
Yeah.
But it's holding me up from reading other material.
Oh yeah.
It's really hard to, select on his book because it's so dense. But anyway, so you're basically in the anti-net book and course and things like that as your product output for now. So how do you balance, like, sitting down, and I wrote 2 short stories, and I've done other things published when I was younger. By writing the book, you're on that trajectory, so it makes sense that that's your focus. But once the book's finished, what would you do to do output besides tweets, for instance, like, to kind of build your maybe your intellectual brand or something.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think honestly, probably creating the course would be a lot of work and, fulfill that need.
Hmm.
Um, and, and I think there's a lot of material that will stem from that. I could see a lot of like offshoots and material, like, coming out of it. Like I've got a ton of different sections, but, you know, I think part of the beauty so there's, and I wrote about this today. I kind of see that there's like three kind of states of mind that one goes through when working with the anti-net. One is in the emergent state or emergence state, and this is uh this is when you are in exploratory mode, right? This is
Hmm.
when like you're in the mode. It's when your reading style and extraction method is like book to main card. Like
Hmm.
you're reading material and you're like, crap, like I have to actually extract this and write this out immediately so that I can actually understand the rest of the book, right?
Yeah.
You're in like exploratory research phase, and that's in that phase is when you like find you discover things that you didn't have a preconceived notion of before you approached it. And that's how I approached the Zettelkasten. I came up with so many themes in reading Luhmann's actual paper, and that took me weeks to get through. It was just like a short piece, but his writing is very disentangled, dense, academic, pedantic. Every one author called it soporific, which means sleep inducing. It definitely is. So, but in doing that, I like came across a lot of themes, right? I came across the themes of surprise and accidents, and his system being a surprise generator. And then I came across that with reading Johannes Schmidt's article about the Zettelkasten and communication and it being a thinking machine. So I didn't expect that. That was like during the emergence phase and discovery phase. And then after that, you get into like kind of the evolution phase where you now have these ideas neuro imprinted on your mind so that you start reading a bunch of other related texts, and then you can instantly scan the book, do the scanning and selection type of reading and quickly spot the themes and the concepts that evolve your current thesis that have emerged through the emergent phase. And then there's the writing phase, which is the writing phase is simply, if it's a book, like I like to think of it as, okay, if you have a drawer, stacked of note cards, if you have a shoebox full, then you're ready to write the book. Like
Hmm.
stop researching. You're ready to write the book at that point. That's kind of how I think Ryan Holiday approached it as well. If it's a paper, then I think you want like about like a centimeter or inch pinch of a anti-net set of cards, like you want for paper, let's get a bigger pinch than that. You want about like an inch, this is just me pulling something
Hold
out of
it
my
up a
ass
little
here.
bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
So a paper blog, long form blog post, or
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
podcast or YouTube. Yeah, we can't forget that you do put out output a lot of content by YouTube, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that. That's one of my,
It's so
I tried,
funny. That's what we're doing right now.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Technically. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's output. It's helpful to people. So yeah, I
Hmm.
didn't. I was concentrating on Twitter, I guess, because that's what I've been myself getting kind of back into lately. Because I do see the power of controlled, short, your thoughts, quotes, things like that. You're doing something. You're putting something out there, and let's be
Hmm.
honest, it's your brand. So you're putting your brand out there.
Hmm.
Obviously, if you want to publish something or output artwork or whatever, create a product, so to speak, it'd be nice to have an audience somewhat kind of aware of you.
Hmm.
So start before, right? A lot of people wait till it's, they've already published a book before they start, quote unquote, marketing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was a difficult, like creating the YouTube channel was just a one-off thing. Like it was literally, I remember being right here and I was just going through working with my anti-net, and I'm like, God, like people need to see this. Like there'd be a lot of people out there that would really benefit from seeing this, because it's
Mhm.
not explained at all of how it truly works.
Yeah.
Like you're left with Sankey Arens's,
Arends, yeah.
yeah, Arensian, Pauline Christianity take on the whole thing, with his inventions and
A
incantations.
whole book of saying nothing. Like how it's not helpful. That's where theoretical has been separated from experiential, right? You have your scientists that are theoretical, and then you have your scientists that are experiential, and sometimes you have both, right? He is completely on the theoretical side, where I see you as the culmination of both of them. You know, the theoretical, you're doing the theoretical, a 600-page book so far. Well, obviously that's the theoretical, but
the reason it's 600 pages actually is because I have, and I haven't resized the images, so a lot of the pages are like 1 or 2 images, because I have so many images of my actual note cards and Lumen's note cards. I have so many examples backing, when I call out the Arensian myth that there should be one idea per note card. I'm writing about it, but then I'm backing it with several instances of Lumen's note cards spanning and being quotes across multiple cards. So it's like, so it's theory, it's theory and practice, but I would say it's still about like, I don't know, 60% theory. Yeah. But it's better than only 96% theory, which is I think what Arens's book is.
I mean, I haven't read the full book, Smart Notes or whatever. I haven't, because I could only get through maybe 10 pages before I was like, I'm done with this. And then I skimmed it, and I was like, no, he's not giving any kind of indication of how to do it. And that was between my Obsidian, trying to figure out, all these journals I had, like figuring there's got to be a system, and then that's when I came across you. So
how did you come across me, by the way? Was it a YouTube recommendation? Were you searching analog Zettelkasten, or?
I don't think I found you on YouTube first. I think I found you, I think I did a search term and found you through your site. You had published something, and I think it was your old site. Did you have an older site or a different site?
Yeah, like Daily Scott Scheper.
Yeah, it might have been that. I think that's where I found
it's still
it.
there.
And and then there was something about there was something you put on there about anti-net, and then I went down. Or actually, no, there wasn't. You know what? I take that back. I remember now. It was I found you. This is so what do you call it? Cosmetic, or what are they? Synchronicity. I found you through something. I wasn't even looking up that kind of stuff. I found your site on something else, and I had to go back and look and see what the article was, but I kind of just read it briefly. And then I jumped to the bottom and I clicked a YouTube link or something. And then I went to YouTube, and then I, saw that, and I was like, holy shit, that's exactly what, I'm trying to figure out how to do, but you must have wrote something about studying or book reading, or it must have been some kind of article around that, and I found you that way. And so I came around the backwards door. I came in your back door, buddy.
Wow, Lane. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I know. I've created like this this rabbit.
Sorry, came out wrong.
I know. Here we go again. Here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, I've like purposely, because my focus has been like writing the book so much that I haven't made the process of discovering me in this whole journey. Like, I haven't dumbed it down. Like, people on YouTube that discover it are like, they're like, someone today was like, hey, like, do you have a way for me, like a playlist for me to like start this and get all this stuff in order? And I'm like, no, you're faced with you're faced with what everyone else has to do. It's a long, and this is kind of like what Lumen's books were. It's like a long circuitous route of like, of going down the the rabbit hole and like and just learning and just going through this whole thing like one video at a time. And I think that's where the course can come in handy. But because right now I'm so focused on just finish the first draft of the book, simplify it there so that I can provide people with like the biblical resource, of everything and anything that they will ever need.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it's ever developing. And that goes back to the confidence issue, is that, you do see that like, hey, I don't know how to get started and everything. And it's literally, throughout many videos, but it's just a matter of starting it, right? Just starting, and don't worry about, the mistakes. I'm almost positive I've, I definitely have strayed from the Christ path of Scheper, on mine, because it works for the way I think, but
Yeah.
I mean, the core is there. The core anti-net is there, the tree, the new alphanumeric tree index, it's there. It's just, do I do my numbers like you? Probably not. And I started them that way. And I was like, you know what? My ones always look like my slashes. I've got to do something different because I'm thinking that's an 11, so it's just nuance, that
it mirrors your brain. It mirrors how your brain works. And
you write numbers really nicely. Like, you do the traditional one, up and down. I don't do that. I just do a one. And so if I put a slash, I either had to do an extreme slash to differentiate, or I can do a dot, which is what I use. Right.
Yeah. So, you use dots.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
But I started out with the slash system. It's just once I started getting the higher numbers, I was like, is that I'll just kind of 21, or 11, or, I'll think that instead of, oh, that's a one, so your own nuance will come in, but is the core there? Am I faithful to the
teachings, the law,
to the teachings, to the law,
the law of
the anti-net?
Yeah.
Will I still enter into anti-net nirvana? Yes, I have been faithful.
Yeah. You're just a disciple that has gone off on his own path. Hopefully you won't turn into a Judas and
or a Paul.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think that's the main point of this whole thing, is to have a very unique structure wherein you inject your own personality into it. It's what Luhmann called his alter ego. And and it's a system founded on, it's supposed to be chaotic. It's supposed to induce accidents. It's supposed to, have all of these odd personalities, structures, and weird, weird conventions. The thing that it's not supposed to be is it is not supposed to be some, GitHub code repository of, of a bunch of really
sterile
computerized, sterile, like computerized, conventions and like Obsidian, and everyone's notes end up looking like everyone else's because they're all like saying, oh, do it this way, don't do it this way, and it's that's something that I think is so many people have very different versions of this thing, so it's awesome.
So what would you say? I mean, you touched on it, and I think that's a great thing, because I mean, I'm definitely in a similar path. I mean, look, anybody who's a human being is afraid of judgment, right? And when you put work out there, it's going to be judged.
Oh yeah.
And you had to get past that. So, and I've done it in the past. For some reason, I've gotten more or less risk taking, and just less put myself out there as I've gotten older. When I was younger, I was the same thing. If podcasting, YouTube would have been around, I remember the a priori of YouTube before YouTube bought it, and you would get on there and just talk stuff and throw it on there, and I would do stuff like that. As I've gotten older, I've become more guarded, I guess. But I thought it was interesting. You should, once you get about this much, which I have more than enough for that, start putting some papers or long form content out. And then, once you get a box, that makes sense. You've got, a full box, that's a lot of material. So what would, I mean, to start getting, I mean, how would you bridge well, what you call exploratory, I call discovery, same thing, but I'm in exploratory phase. I want to, I want to start, put myself out there. I have inkling. I know some of this is me kind of, going through my cards and going, oh, I'm not going to put this. I'm not going to write this out because I don't feel like it's complete enough, even though there's enough cards there to complete a thought, a paper, so to speak. What would you suggest in other, kind of like what you did with the podcast? I don't want to get into like editing and all that. What would you suggest?
So I would,
to get the confidence, start, daily habit, because it is that too. It's habit, right? Doing it.
Yeah. You need to so the most important thing is you need to commit to the daily process, and then you need to of publishing, but you also need to start logging. I have a pen and paper planner, no surprise there, because I just find it way more less distracting than digital. And I'm bringing back fanny packs. I rock a fanny pack. I've got a pen in there. I've got note cards in there. I've got my paper planner in there.
Sorry, I can't do the fanny pack. I told my wife about that, and she was like, "He really wears a fanny pack?" And I was like,
"Yeah, I'm going to show you this. I wear it everywhere, man." Oh yeah, here's the fanny pack. It's cool,
Is
cargo.
It leather?
No, this is cargo. And then I have this paper planner, right? Where I log and just check it off. Like, okay, check off the number that I'm at for the day of my publishing. And I think the most important thing is to have it as a streak. If you miss a day of publishing, you got to start over at zero. It's like we're basically, it's Alcoholics Anonymous, but publishing anonymous, creative anonymous, of like, you got to publish a little something every single day.
So what would you do if you're in exploratory phase? Maybe you have a pinch of cards, maybe you don't, but let's say you do have a pinch of cards, but you're not ready to develop that idea. It's kind of like you with your book. You do have to stop at some point, but okay, I need to make a little bit more connections here before I write a long form piece. What would you suggest to do, as far as a medium, maybe other than Twitter, but something to put your intellect,
daily practice? I think for like one of the best ones. So okay, so let's talk about, there's three, okay, and there's definitely more, but the three that I tried as a daily practice was, the first one was my own website, my own blog, right? And this is what Seth Godin does as well. He puts just a brief piece, a paragraph, and it kills writer's block. Well, and you might be able to pull this off, but the thing that I found for me, it would end up taking me like 2 to 3 hours to do this, because I would cite references, I would edit the living hell out of it, I would re-edit it, and it would be like, and I'm like, man, I can't do this because it's stealing energy from like my main big project output, right? And then that's why I switched to podcast. For podcast and doing like a daily podcast, it doesn't suck out as much mental energy as writing like a daily blog, at least for me. Some people are good at, there's people that bust out an email every single day. One copywriter is a guy named Ben Settle. He does it every single day. He's been doing it for 10 years and he's just famous for it. So daily writing can work. Then there's the podcast, the daily podcast. And that is actually could be something that you would want to explore. What you would do, and this is how I did it in some of my episodes, is,
let me get one clarification. Are we talking about like a quick, like short form just to build the habit? Or are you talking about, okay, all right, just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yes. So it would be, I would take just one card that I had created the previous day and literally just talk about the card, talk about what it means in a podcast for like, 15 they always, I'm long-winded, man. So it would always last for like 30 minutes, but I could keep it like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That would be a miracle. But I would just go into it, so that was, and that served as a good practice, because when you're talking and like reading off of the intellectual mind work that you've already done, it doesn't
Mhm.
drain your energy. So I could still then write, or research and read the rest of the day.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a different she's in a different part, you're using your auditorial verbal communication instead of your written, it definitely hits different points in the brain. That
Hmm.
makes sense. Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, you know, even then in that, it got it was a little bit too much of a hassle. I started like editing it. I started putting in too much work that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start doing this. And then I think I actually switched to, I just don't think the audience, it was really resonating with the audience, even though I've had people that have listened to it and found me because of the podcast.
Hmm.
So I switched after a few months to creating that daily website, the daily Scott Scheper,
Hmm.
and which is, I guess, how you found me. And I did
Yeah.
that for a while, but then again, it was like that. So then I switched to Twitter, and that's what I've been doing. So okay, so that is the foundation, the daily process. The other thing is, and maybe this is something that you would want to work. Then you need to have like your medium or your big project,
Hmm.
and that is, I guess, for you, where you're still trying to figure that out, and like you're not ready to publish and work on, that article or that blog post or that piece fully yet, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like the ahas are happening yet. Yeah, definitely in discovery, research, get more information. And I haven't fully delved in. It's actually taken on a life of its own. I thought it was going to go into, my creativity framework, my rapid prototyping framework, beta. But I'm actually moving into this whole thing back here, which is just like exploration and different creative personalities and how we explore the unknown and extreme, all that. So it's actually kind of going in its own direction, which has kind of made me not lose it changed the goalpost, because I thought I was going here and now it's somewhere over, it's on another football field technically.
Mm-hmm.
Getting in more consciousness and mythology. So I have a lot more research to do, but it's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So it is literally discovery.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Absolutely.
exploration. Oh wow, I just discovered this whole thing, and now and it's coming easier, right? You always know you're onto something when it's flow and easy for you. Putting together this behind me kind of framework model of creativity has been a lot easier than trying to do the beta for me over 10 years. Obviously the beta thing has been a struggle, trying to identify something there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like, am I being a little self-conscious and lack of confidence to put myself out there? Some of it, yes. The other part is like, I'm not ready to do full long form content, quote unquote. I'm thinking blogs, not books, but even just long form blog, good, even 1,200, 1,500. I'm not there yet. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
want to be in the more, I was even going to start a blog called Living the Questions. We talked about that before, where I just, I have that in my box back here. You know, I have, I have questions and ideas behind my bibliography or sorry, my terms and definitions box. I
Mm-hmm.
also have a questions box. So every time a question comes up for me, I thought about just writing it, like something like, and then I do like question Q 101, kind of
Nice.
so similar thing, but altered state, psychedelics, meditation, uh Can the non-experts in a domain enter an altered state and solve a problem in that domain from tapping collective unconsciousness? Like, okay, there's a chemistry problem. You
Mhm.
don't know shit about chemistry, but you go do some, ayahuasca or something and set the intention on like, this problem that chemists are trying to solve. Is there a possibility for that? That's interesting to me. That's a
Mhm.
question.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I thought, Higgs boson God particle and consciousness, is
Mhm.
that so I have these weird ideas every day that I kind of want to write about, but I don't want to distract myself from the larger work.
Yeah,
So I want to do something short, but it's still valuable,
yeah,
to people to get to
yeah.
know me and get to know me as a brand, but also to give them value on like, oh,
Mhm.
that's interesting.
Yeah. I think so. I was exactly in your shoes a year ago,
Okay.
and and I think I've talked about this before. I was oscillating between like writing a newsletter or a book on copywriting and psychology and tying all the concepts together because I was seeing it kind of like the Matrix, seeing it all linked together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working it just like you're seeing a bunch of concepts, the interconnections and interdisciplinary fields are all connecting together, all of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. And I was going down when we talked about it, the the rabbit hole with a hero with 1,000 faces, because that's a huge concept in creating mass movements. And
Mm-hmm.
it's about, embodying and having, heroic tendencies, and having a mission higher than oneself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. But I was still like loose and vague on like, well, how am I gonna, like, everyone's written about like copywriting, marketing, stuff like that. And yeah, yeah, it's cool and I'm really interested in it. But the one thing I was getting just so deep into was, really learning how to actually build out this antinet and the analog Zettelkasten during it. And I knew, I'm like, okay, well, it's definitely, there's a lot of people that are missing out because they're in the same place that I was, where I
Mm-hmm.
thought Obsidian was, you know, like the thing, and Obsidian was Zettelkasten. And, then I kind of went on my own personal journey of discovering this hugely valuable thing that I thought could help other people. And I made a decision in like June or July of last year. Finally, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm making a decision. This is what I'm going to run with. And I focused my energy on that,
So
and
the whole anti-net came about from like a discovery for yourself too. You were completely concentrating research wise into the mythology and the
exactly.
marketing and stuff. And
Yep.
this okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I was,
I thought you
I,
set your intention. I am going to
mm-mm.
set up to okay, all right,
No,
very
no. So
interesting.
that gives hope. And I've told people this
That
too,
gives hope.
honestly, to everyone. Everyone thinks that like, oh, like it's when I started it, I had no idea in what direction I wanted to go. Like I kind of had a direction,
Mm,
but it didn't really feel right in my like heart and soul until
hmm.
I decided to go with the anti-net Zettelkasten route. And it's not that, in marketing and copywriting, they say like start with the audience and work backwards, right?
Yeah,
Start with the
yeah,
starving crowd and then create a
yeah,
product for them.
yeah.
But
Find their pain point. Yep.
yes, yes.
And
And
yep.
yeah, well, every single great marketer, and they've got a lot of good logic for that, is right in part, but it's also horse shit.
Yeah.
It's because what you end up doing is you end up, going to where the money is and not where the heart is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if I was going to do that, I would go and try to figure out some cryptocurrency, technology or project. And, oh, there's a lot of speculation money in the cryptocurrency space. Why don't I,
Hmm.
oh, here's, and everyone's just creating the next coin that's basically a next vehicle to, speculate on money and make a ton of money without lifting a finger. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I mean, I guess I could go that route, but my heart was pulling me in the anti-net route,
Yeah.
like okay, I'm gonna help people who are committed to growth and learning actually learn this thing and learn it the Lumanian way, the right way, and actually develop their knowledge from it.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't, and it still necessarily isn't the right the right decision commercially, but
Yeah.
I think for something that actually matters to the world, that contributes to the world, it's way more important than, just chasing money or chasing another niche or something. And so my very trite advice is I literally decided to follow the heart and soul of what it was telling me. And when I
Mhm.
did, and when I committed to it, it felt absolutely right. And I just went all in on it. And but it happened by way of like over 6 months of me trying to figure out what I wanted, what direction I wanted to go in, and developing the content every single day. And the thing that got me there was doing the daily podcast, just putting out shit every single day. And then like, you know,
I haven't heard the podcast. Were you talking about I mean, was that you exploring outwardly
mhm.
about what what you were working on, or was this something completely different?
Yeah, no, I
Oh,
talk a
okay.
lot. And it grew. Like in the beginning, I was talking a lot about like advertising and marketing stuff,
Hmm.
uh, and just random topics in there. And um, I think I was even talking about like in a few episodes, maybe they're taken down, but like the literally like it, I would start in preamble and be like, what, hey guys, I just went on this is before I met my my significant other, but I'd be like, I just went on a Hinge date last night, and man, this chick was so freaking messed up in the head. And I'm like just talking about that, and then I would relate it to marketing and get into it and stuff.
Hmm.
And then that slowly evolved, and then and by the end of the last podcast, it was really talking about mostly about Zettelkasten and
Oh,
anti-net
okay.
and stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you can see
I've
my
never seen your pod. I've never, excuse me, went to your podcast. So I didn't know that. So it was relevant to that, and that makes
mm,
sense. That's very
yeah, it was
insightful for
it
me.
it wasn't relevant in the beginning to
Yeah,
Zettelkasten or anti-net. It evolved as I evolved. I
yeah,
evolved because I put out stuff every single day. Um, and so I think the number one thing I wish I did earlier in my career in life was, I built the brand around Scott Scheper, right?
hmm,
Like, because knowing me, my interests change like
yeah,
every year and a half to 2 years. I get burnt
yeah. You're
out on,
curious.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I don't have an attention problem. I have a boredom problem.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so, that's so I recommend for what you're doing, is publish it under your own brand, your own
yeah,
name,
yeah.
and um don't even explain what the focus is. Like, don't put it under that website,
Oh,
put
okay.
just put it under your own brand,
Yeah,
maybe a sub.
I've always viewed it the same way. I'm the same as you. I'm just like curious. I've studied data analytics. I was into crypto. I actually used to write a crypto blog back way when, like,
Mhm,
2014 or something.
mhm.
Barely got traction, but I've got many interests. And so I've often struggled with that. It's like, well, do I want to put this under Lane Watson? Because I own my own name.
Mhm,
That's one of the first things I do. Any new social media or anything comes out,
mhm.
I go ahead and lock my name
Yeah.
down. One, to protect it, because it is a brand. I don't want it diluted. Someone else using it, right?
Yeah.
So I got lots of names or social media names that I just don't use, but I got them locked down: Instagram, Facebook, all that. But
Mhm,
anyway, I just, that's interesting because I've never, I've always looked at it as like, well, maybe this should be a hub, and then I'll do this for this, and I'll do this for this kind of subject matter. But then I do notice that like none of them, they never evolve. They just kind of, oh, I get tired of it, I sell it off, or I just let it die off. Like the crypto I sold off, that made good 10, $15,000 off of that sale, because I just wasn't
nice.
interested anymore. I didn't want to
Mhm,
write it, and I
mhm,
didn't want to manage it.
mhm.
So that's interesting because I always fear that, like, oh, I'm gonna have articles talking about creativity, and then one day they're gonna be talking about S&M or something. Just
Yeah, yeah.
something like,
That
where did he go
that's
with
what's
this?
yeah, just to spoil the surprise, that's what's coming next to all my anti-netters out there. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because I'll probably stay in this anti-net space and, and help it evolve for a long time. But, by no means am I promising to stay in that place, in this
Yeah.
place forever. I might go into life philosophy, and I
But
might go
that's
into,
still interconnected, right?
yeah,
The life
yeah,
philosophy, because I mean, people struggle with productivity and other things,
yeah.
Um,
I could see myself eventually getting back into copywriting and marketing stuff. And,
mhm.
and I was initially thinking, I'm like, oh crap, like I've got this audience that, cares about, this, the anti-net stuff and productivity. But now that I'm talking about it out loud, it's like, well, I mean, I think if I talked about marketing and copywriting, creating a movement, it's like people are going to want to know how to actually market the work that they're creating,
Yeah.
using.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. I
So,
mean, that's something I've always struggled with. My literal professional skill set is in digital marketing,
mhm,
copywriting. That's what I've done, worked in advertising firms and my own agency, but I don't want to do that anymore. But, when I do talk to, mostly friends that are artists and, creatives, and I could say anybody who's created me is this intellectual artist, whether they're painting or writing a, nonfiction book on the anti-net, you're a creative to me, right? You're
mhm,
taking something and creating something new. But they all struggle with the marketing aspect. Like, how do I get
mhm,
myself out there? How do I get my brand out there? How do I, so it's almost inevitable by helping them with the creative process, like giving them tools to put out creative output, that I end up helping them on starting a Squarespace to show their paintings or something. It's just
mhm,
inevitable. So yeah, I think naturally the audience, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, I'm always open to learning, but I think that's an interesting crossing, because I would think the audience would be interested in that too, because if you're interested in the anti-net, your obviously end goal is to try to put output,
yep,
and you need, not you need to make a living from this. It's
mhm,
what you want to do.
yeah,
So you
absolutely,
got to learn marketing. You either
mhm,
pay someone to do it or you need to learn it. And I feel like you should still know it at the baseline so that you know who to hire when you
yeah,
don't want to
exactly,
deal with it.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, that's, I could see you, once you get the anti-net book finished and, kind of solidified there and kind of, the course, that, yeah, people would probably be interested in the marketing and the copywriting, because that's the most important skill to me in
mhm,
marketing. You
yeah,
can pay,
yeah,
if you can pay someone to run ads, but if the copy sucks, it's going to fail.
mhm,
You can pay someone to set up a sales
yep,
funnel, but if the copy sucks, it's going to fail.
yeah, yeah. So, like, I like to explain marketing equals mass persuasion,
Hmm.
and the mass equals advertising, right? Like getting
Yeah.
your message out to the world. And then the persuasion part is the copywriting. That's what
Yeah.
copywriting is. And
Yeah.
it's funny. It's like, I see persuasion as, persuasion, like Einstein was in the business of persuasion.
Yeah.
Feynman was. Everyone that is trying to convey their ideas, you're just trying to persuade people from directing their attention and their finite life energy, from Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's shit show, to actually something that
Literally.
matters. Like we're all in the
Yeah.
persuasion game.
Yeah.
My fiance doesn't like the word persuasion. She thinks it's analogous to manipulation. And
Oh,
so,
really?
for
Mm.
those types of people, and I, she's a therapist, so they view things a little bit, less
Yeah.
more touchy feely than how the world works.
Yeah.
I, I
Yeah.
I I can't wait till she finds this and hears this, and
uh,
and
no
yeah,
marriage.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So I use the word
You'll be making
inspiration.
love to your anti-net box instead of her.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the final chapter. Yeah. Yeah,
Final chapter.
that's what I meant, ladies and gentlemen, by S&M. S&M with your anti-net.
Your author page at the end of the book will be interesting.
Yeah. I dedicate this book to my anti-net. It was
It's been my loving and caring box
yeah.
for all my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have that right now as the beginning as a joke. It's like this couldn't be this work. Let me read it right now. What does it say? Oh, I named him Stewie, after the Family Guy character. So
Uh-huh.
my acknowledgement section at the beginning of the book is not like, thanks to, my daughters, kids.
Your dad, your
It's
mom.
it's I would like to thank my co-author, my anti-net Stewie.
Nice.
you know.
Well, I mean, yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? We're coming up on the hour, or we're at the hour.
Yeah, I think we're good. Like
Do you have any
is
final
it
words on confidence and getting your material out there while you are discovering and exploring?
yeah, I think, just to summarize it, to make it clear, I think we all need a daily outlet, a daily practice of publishing, and just publish shit. It could be a podcast episode, literally you just talking into your podcast voice recorder, on your iPhone, or it could be Twitter, or it could be a daily blog post. It needs to be like take you like 10 to 15 minutes, and it needs to be quick, and
Mhm.
then I think everyone ought to work on, like, maybe one big piece, one big major project, either a book or a writing piece that you get out. And even if you just share snippets of it, with the public, I think that could help. But yeah, that's a summary of what I'm saying. But yeah, what about to you? Did that answer your question or help you out at all of where you are at, try to figure out your
Yeah,
journey and decision?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Just to hear what your process was. And I mean, it really kind of, opened my eyes once you talked about, hey, I fell into the anti-net.
Hmm.
That was not what I was trying to attempt with my anti-net,
Yeah.
my Zettelkasten. I was attempting, this other subject matter, these other fields of
Yep.
expertise. And I that's exactly, that kind of gave me, oh, okay, it's, again, I know it's me being impatient, but I do agree with you after working through it for as long as I have now, that, yeah, I could see a good year before I'm ready to write a book on this
Hmm.
subject matter. I need that, quote unquote, from a material standpoint, that box. But
Hmm.
just, I need, that's the thoughts, the reading, the research, and the thoughts, and my own thoughts, and all that, to be able to put a book together. So it makes sense. It's just I am a marketer, so I want to be branding myself towards what I am going to develop, so I can build an audience
Hmm.
while I'm doing it. But it's also getting back to that daily output. I
Yeah.
used to be a daily blogger,
Hmm.
and I haven't done that in probably 10 years minimum.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's Gary Halbert always used to say motion over meditation,
yeah,
movement over meditation.
yeah. Doing over being.
Screw the whole meditating on something until you figure it out. That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Like, I figured out the anti-net, and that I was going to do it by publishing crap for, like, 4 or 5 months straight every day,
yeah,
and the movement created the idea. The motion created the idea, not meditating on the idea. I tried the
yeah,
meditating on the idea for like a year, smoking cigars and, hanging out on the patio, but
yeah,
nothing came out of it. And
yeah,
yeah, it was really hard at the beginning, because I saw myself, my ego, in a way bigger light and smarter light than than what I actually started producing. Like my
mhm,
previous ventures, I had done so many big things, and had been, in so much, but I had so much more momentum and was with a team and stuff, that I
yeah,
had a lot of ego from that. I was like, okay, well, and I was like, what, throw it away. I'm just going to start publishing shit every single day. And it was good, because my audience at the time was a cryptocurrency audience, right? And so I started losing people, and I'm like, oh,
half of
good.
them
I'm gonna,
can't even read.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And so I'm like, God, I'm just gonna continue publishing anything I want to. So, by the time the people that are left are the people that actually
Care.
like me. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so I'm like, started losing people. I was like, thank God. I'm like filtering all these assholes out of my
yeah,
feed. Um, yeah, yeah, that's really all I say on that. And one more thought I had
yeah,
for you is, I see that whiteboard behind you. And
mhm,
you're great a great talker and speaker, I think something worth exploring for you is to create like a YouTube video or something teaching, from that whiteboard,
Mm.
on creativity or yeah, whatever.
I
you
mean, I
know?
enjoy doing these with you, but to be my own, doing my own thing. I just, I would do a podcast or write a blog before I would, carry a conversation by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a verbal. I don't like speaking by myself. I like doing what we're doing and in groups and stuff, but I don't like presenting necessarily. I'd rather write it down. I'm much
Hmm.
more, thoughtful and in my words, written word than I am speaking.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
thanks for
Well,
the, that
they,
insight. I appreciate it.
yeah. Well, then, yeah, maybe the writing is a daily practice,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. The most important thing is you have to count it. Like, I don't know where my planner is, but you have to, tomorrow's day one, next day's day two. You have to keep the
Yeah.
streak alive. Um,
Yeah. I'm gonna go
yeah.
buy a fanny pack tomorrow.
Hell yeah. What is this brand called? It's awesome for anyone that wants it. It's called Zorfin, Zorfin. You can get it on Amazon. They're like 20-25 bucks or something. And
Nice.
just rock it everywhere.
Yeah, because I
Um,
was going to ride my motorcycle the other day, and I have a big book bag that when I need to carry a lot of stuff, and I was like, where am I going to put my cards and everything? My wife's like, just get a fanny pack, like
hell
Scott.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
She's like, then you want to have
Dude,
to carry that big book bag all
dude,
over, on your back constantly.
dude, I go into concerts and stuff or events, and they're like, what's in there? They think like drugs are in here. And like
Yeah, your paraphernalia. You
they
got your
open it up and
needles and
like
spoon.
they open it up and like literally note cards are like coming out of it. And they're like, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? I'm like,
They're
that's
like,
right. What's up?
yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's a nerd.
Yeah.
Right, he's good. Let
Yeah.
him in. Meanwhile, you got like liquor bottles shoved down your pants legs.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. It's good diversion. Yeah. So
Yeah.
one more thing to end on, I think,
Yeah.
and maybe these people, anyone that watches this, I don't know if I'm going to publish tonight because I already published a video today, but at least I'll give you the scoop is tomorrow I am interviewing on the phone one of Nicholas Luhmann's sons.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Hunted him down. He's an artist, painter in Guatemala.
Oh
Just this,
wow.
awesome German dude painting away. And so I have a bunch of questions prepared to him, like, like tell me about your dad's work routine. Tell me about him using his Zettelkasten. What was the process like? How much did he read? What did he do during the day? Stuff like that. I'm gonna ask him if his dad owned a computer and what he thought about computers and digital versus because late in Lumen's life he could have used a computer.
Yeah, when he passed away, how old was he? Or
I think it
what
was
year?
98, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Let
Yeah.
me see.
So they definitely had computers in the university by then.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But any questions you think I should ask him?
Oh, I don't know. I'll think about it and send them to you through text or email or something
Yeah.
if I come up with some. But that is super cool, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm stoked for that. And then I've got a debate on Friday not a debate, a conversation dialogue with the guy that owns Zettelkasten.de, Sasha
Oh
Fast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that live?
I'm not sure actually.
Is it
Yeah.
on your YouTube or his?
We're gonna do the first half on his YouTube and then the second half on mine.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah.
I read
Yeah.
your article you published on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That went through so many edits, man. Like,
Yeah, it was very good.
yeah. Yeah.
That was a
Thank you.
solid piece of writing.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It I had so much more stuff of just, bashing digital stuff. And we stripped a lot of that stuff out, which was, I think, good. It kept me focused instead of me going down the rabbit hole of why digital sucks and why Putin uses Obsidian to craft his war schemes and stuff like that. But yeah,
That's the Zettelcast and D that they're all Obsidian guys, right?
no, they actually have their own piece of software called the Archive. And
okay.
a lot of them use that. And I actually think it's funny. The Archive doesn't get any attention at all. And I think it's actually a really good piece of software for Zettelkasten. It's digital. I think Obsidian is probably slightly better, just because how extensible it is. But
Mhm.
the features end up drowning out the good. But the archive is pretty good. The biggest problem is, of course, the whole ID scheme uses dates prepended onto every single note and note
Oh,
IDs, and that's just like it's just dumb. Like Lumen never used dates in his. Yeah, I think the reason
well, I mean, I think that's probably you have to in digital. That's something I was thinking about after our last discussion. You have to use dates, otherwise you can't have preceding successional cards. You can't have that what we have naturally in the anti-net, that development of thought by just installing card behind card behind card and then
yeah,
branching. You can't do it without in the digital with if you use your titling like up here without the number
yeah,
in digital, then
yeah.
it's going to be
I
all
I think people need to start using numeric alpha addresses in digital if they want to make it
yeah,
like, and then they have to nuke the search box and
yeah,
use key terms as an index entry.
yeah,
Um, that gets you, between 50 to 80% of the way to be as effective as an anti-net, because
yeah,
it's still missing the analog component, of actually forcing you to actually develop your mind and
yeah,
do it the hard way.
exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I think we've covered everything, and I think we did a
Yeah.
good job this time. We're very concise. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I hope it's help. I hope it's as helpful to others as it was to me, because it was helpful to ask you those questions and hear your process and just get your ideas specific to me. But I'm sure a lot of people are in the same place as I am right now. I mean, it's easy. I mean, you've been very good about not about hearing that. But none of us are in the position you are, right? Because we haven't been doing it as long as you, and
Hmm.
we've learned from you, right? So
Hmm.
everybody's starting in different places, whether they're at the very beginning or someone like me, it's almost 4 months now, and
Hmm.
and then there's people that are probably a little further along than me. We're all at different stages, and I'm sure we're all wanting to, one, start building that brand, two, get output, so consistent output now, so that when it do start writing the bigger projects, it'll be a little more fluid. And I
Hmm.
think you answered those perfectly, or at
Hmm.
least in my mind you did. For me, I'm sure other people
Yeah.
might have questions in the comment.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Glad to have helped. I think you're getting closer than you think on being able to publish soon. And I even if you try to publish today, I think you would be surprised with how good, how high quality your material is. So,
All right, well,
uh,
thank you, brother.
yeah. All right, man.
This is
Well,
why I
hey,
like finding you through the back door, man. You're just so kind.
you came through the back door. Yeah. All right, Lane. Well,
All right.
I'll hit the stop record button right now. But thanks a lot, everyone who tuned in, and love continue to do this. So yeah, talk to you guys later.